Hello world, welcome to Lane Farmstead, where we're trying to get our apples to produce better. And one of the ways that we're going to ensure that is by training the trees, which I did try, and I can see better results because the trees that were trained are well aerated. The productivity is generally very low, not what I expected, but we do have something to report home to, like that one right there. But definitely this is not going to make it to the market. It's going to just feed our family, but it's still good enough. But I want you to compare this tree with another one of the same age, because this one I tried to train. And I'm going to show you another one of the same age that I did not train. This is another one that I trained, and we have some hope, something to smile about. Not much, but keeping the hope alive. At this point, I think now the concentration should be in feeding the tree enough for the fruits to turn into a bigger shape. But at least we do have something here. Now this one did not go through any training. It's the same age. Should be giving us at least something to smile about. But the growth, even the shoots are very minimal, and we do not have a lot of fruits happening. We do have those tip bare bone on the tip right there, and this, which is actually a surprise. I'd not even seen this. I think at some point I gave up on checking all the time, so this is a surprise for me, but at least we do have those. So it's not all bad, but the shoots, we do not have a lot going on here. It's looking as bare as it was, because at the beginning of the season I had removed all the leaves. The other ones are now bushy once again, but this one remains bare. No new shoots, not much in that area. And this is another one. It gave us a really nice fruit at this beginning. It's now well on its way, but let's see. Nothing else. And it's a very, very big mature tree, and it's going all the way up, which is the reason I'm now more intentional about training. I've been keeping off pruning the trees and shaping them for the longest time. This is my first trial at training them, but I didn't have enough information at this point, and I have to admit, looking at them right now with the information I've had after doing some research, I realized so many mistakes that I made, and I want to correct that now. So I'm starting with the first type of grafting, which is the central leader, because that seems to be the most popular and also the one that's going to give us the highest productivity. So the thing is, I'm going in and looking at the individual trees. Like this one has a lot of equally strong stems from this base, so it will be hard to consider what the central leader is, because anything here can be a central leader. So possibly this could be an open canopy, but I also want to, as much as possible, maintain the central leader system. So let me go in and look at all the other trees that I have and see if there are some that I can easily manipulate to become a central leader. This is the perfect example. Doesn't need much really, because it's quite young. These are the ones the Anna variety that I took. They really do not have much difference with the Wambugu apples in terms of structure. They look almost the same, but I can be able to tell that this is the Anna variety because they're younger. My other Wambugu varieties are quite mature, but these are the younger ones that I acquired recently, and this is how they now look. But this was a coincidence. I actually didn't train it to like become a central leader structure, but it has taken a central leader structure already, and that's an advantage for me. So what had happened is it was only going all the way up, and then I notched because I was trying to see how notching works. So I notched here. This is a point of notch earlier this season, and here also. And so I had these new branches. So this is now a good time for me to like train them when they're very young, because when they're this young, it's easier to bend them to take the structure that you want. And in this case, you want them to take the horizontal shape, so they go all the way there. I had notched again at this point, so we have another one coming to this direction, and I'll look for another bud later on that's going for that direction and notch to ensure that I have another one going that direction, so that we have this going laying horizontally and this one as well. But I'm also thinking this one is too close to the base, so if we had this fruiting, then it's going to go all the way to the ground, which is not good. So I'm going to just have to let this go at this point before it becomes I become too attached to the little stem here. I'm going to let it go. So the idea is, when you don't want it to grow at that point anymore, you cut in line with the stem rather than leaving something like that, for example. So I'm going in with a sharp knife and cutting alongside to ensure that it doesn't come off again. So my first one is going to start at this point. Actually, when I was doing my research, I realized that we should allow the first branches to start stemming off from 60 centimeters. Now 60 centimeters is like two 30-centimeter rulers. So I'll also need to come back in with my tape measure again, but if I'm to estimate, this could be like a ruler and half at this point, so I can just leave this alone. So at this point, this is where I think two rulers can reach, right, from the ground. So this should be our first layer of canopy, actually, not even this one. This one is still quite low, but I might just leave it, just this one, while I let this off, and then I start training the others. So we have like layers of canopies. We can encourage these ones. Let me just lose these leaves so that we can see how the branches are behaving. These ones are quite young, so they're not easy to come off. Let me remove these older ones. So these are the branches that we want to encourage. At this point, it's so easy for you to train them because they are so easy to bend. They are quite young. So I'm going to look for a way to like peg them down like that so that they start growing and assuming this shape, the horizontal shape, instead of going all the way up. Like these ones are already competing with the leader. The leader is right here. This is already competing with the leader because it's also growing laterally, and the idea is for us to like take it to this shape and then now maintain the size this way. So let me do it practically. Now I know it will be easier if I did this off the camera, but I'm doing it here so that you can see all my second guessing procedure because I'm also very new to this. So you can also do it for yourself, because if I can do it and I'm an amateur, then we're in this together. And we have lots of experts in the comment section that are going to correct me. Thank you in advance. And the good thing is I can still come back here and make the corrections. So for now, I'm just going in. I'm thinking these ones will take this shape faster because they're quite young. So the idea is we want them to grow at this level rather than at this angle going up. We want them to be at an angle of about 45 to 60 degrees, or rather even the better. If you can do it, you can do a 90-degree angle, the better, but it doesn't look like it's going to give us a 90-degree angle. This looks like a 60 if I'm not wrong. So I'm just going to make sure it stays like that for a while. So I'll just tie it to this point. I was also advised that you can use pegs or even toothpick because they're quite young at this point. It's also a good idea, but I'm using what I have at hand right now. I'll still go and get the pegs to help with the younger shoots. The older ones will need a more serious kind of tying. There you are. It doesn't look like rocket science, really. And if you have young trees, the better for you, because that went easier than I thought, because the branch is quite young. So I was also watching another video about how long you need to leave it to grow these ways, because you also need to prune it at some point so that it can now concentrate on growing the stem and also the spurs on this level to give you fruit when it's time. This one is not mature enough. It's like 5 months old in this garden, so it's quite young. Now this is where I think it will be easier to just use a peg, but because I don't have a peg, I'm going to go in with my string again because it looks like it's doing the job. Now I feel like if I had this information earlier, I will be one of the people smiling to the bank, because this is quite easy for these trees. But now imagine that other tree right there. It's a bush, it's nasty, you don't even know what to get rid of, you don't know what to keep. They're growing all the way up. I tried to bend some of them, but it's so messy. But look at this. If you're at this point, lucky you. I hope you find this video right now and go do it in the farm, because this is like something that doesn't even take much energy. But that one, even the mental energy it takes to decide which one you want to keep and which one you want to snip off is a lot. So let's learn to train our trees when they're this young. And I'm debating on whether to keep these or not. I'll let you tell me in the comments down below. Is it too high, too low, or do I just keep it? It looks quite good. Let me know in the comments below. I'll leave it and see what you have to say in the comments before I come back and snap it off or just keep it. But for now, I want to let this go because it's so close to the ground at this point. So the other good thing is when the branches are this young, it's easier to even take them off because they're quite young. So this is what my source was saying, that you make sure the cut is in line with the stem so that it doesn't sprout once again. The shoot does not sprout from that point. But sometimes we want a new shoot to stem from where you're cutting it. So in that case, you can cut at this point, leaving some attached to the stem so that it's now going to sprout and give you a new stem at the same location if you want to maintain that. So before we decide to either keep this or let it go, let me just train it. So this tree is marked as done. Now if you have 1,000 trees, you are definitely going to learn and then train someone or a team to help you do this, because of course you can't do this. I have 100. I'll still need some help, but I want to do a majority of them alone before I mess up, because I know this takes a lot of decision making. So even if I look for labor, I'm going to have to be around. Now I think most of us, or maybe I should speak for myself, we are overwhelmed by all the information out there and we don't want to even try. That's why we have wild bushes. This actually turned out easier than I thought. There you go. And we could have done it earlier if we had this information. Because these young ones are so easy to train. It's like what the Bible says, train up a child when they're young, and when they're older, they'll not forget. So we are training up this tree when it's young. You can even tie it to this point now. We're training them when they're young and they'll not forget. They lie horizontal in future, which is the best position for giving us fruits, especially more fruit spurs, more aeration, and more easier to manage generally. See, that was quick. Let's try this other one as well. Samaki mkunje angali mbivu. Mbichi. Samaki mkunje angali mbichi. That's a Swahili saying that tells us to essentially train before it's too late. So a lot of people have been commenting about their disappointments, and I hope before you cut down your trees, you join me in this journey of giving them another chance, but now from a knowledge base. After this zikikata, then we know all is not well. But before we do the right thing, we cannot really say for sure that it's not gonna happen. Whew, I'm proud of myself. It was that far. The only downside to this is that it takes a lot of time. So you will definitely need to invest in some help. After you learn the skill, you train a team and you get the work done as fast as possible. Especially for those of us that have trees that are below 1 year. Perfect timing, perfect timing. Alongside all the other things that we're doing, this is an essential part that's not given enough emphasis. Sometimes I feel like the more I read, the more I feel like standing on the rooftops and shouting to all apple farmers, because I don't understand why we are not doing this. I was also watching another video from Zimbabwe, and this is what they have been doing. And we know that we've been importing apple fruits from South Africa, which is also like the same way they train their trees. But apparently we are not interested. As Kenyan farmers, we've not shown enough interest, and so it's my hope that this works better, gives me better productivity, so we realize if we need to all change our thoughts about training these trees or not. If you've ever trained your trees, you can comment down below about their productivity as compared to the ones that are not trained. Anyone going through the farm will wonder what childishness was this that is going on here. But this is the beginning of a long journey. For as long as this tree will stay alive, which we hope is beyond 50 years. So that's what I'm going to do for the entire field. But this is the central leader system, and we have so many other systems. I'm just beginning with this one. As I've been learning, I've realized that most of the trees that we have around here actually already have a central leader system, because like this is the indigenous avocado tree. Look at the way it trained itself. There's a long stem before the first canopy layer, and the canopy layer is going horizontally rather than lateral. It's not going upward, it's lying these ways, sideways. And then I think we pruned off at this point. That's why we have these scars, because we pruned them off. This is the indigenous avocado tree, so of course we didn't want it to like give us low-lying branches. But look at how beautiful nature does this work, because see, that's the angle we are talking about, and then it goes all the way like that, and then now curves and starts the upward journey. So I was wondering, and I would love to hear your feedback after we've like made sure that the stems, the branches lie horizontally. How long should we let them grow? Because they're growing, oh, they're growing. Look at that, they're growing. So I would love for like maybe an estimate in centimeters or something about how long we should leave them to grow, and then we snap or now prune. Now of course when you're going to have such a shape, it's going to be very easy to even prune because you are just looking at the canopy. And I love how this avocado tree is doing stuff for itself. Look, so we have that length, and then we have the first layer of canopies, and then we have a length where nothing is happening, and then we have another layer of canopy at that point, and then we have another length because we've not like pruned off these leaves, but it's all leaves, there's nothing growing here. See? And then up there it's starting to give us the third canopy. Now that's the idea, that's the whole idea. If you've not been getting it about training the apple trees, look at the difference. That is a shrub. What I have there are shrubs, but this is a well balanced tree that's going to give every stem, every branch a chance to like face the sun and also like bear fruits at any point, so that there's no congestion, there's better aeration, there's better low pests are not going to get in there a lot. But most importantly, the idea that actually led me to buy this idea is that when the branches lie in this position, they're going to give you more spurs, fruit spurs that are going to give you more fruits. So this is the position in which you're going to have greater fruit productivity as compared to the position where the trees go upward, straight upward. For example, let me see if I can see a good example. So this is one of the trees that I bent earlier, and you can see at the point where I'm bending them, we have all these, and it's my understanding that these are going to bear fruit in the coming season. See, like this one. So these little things here are gonna be fruit spurs. Correct me if I'm wrong, or I don't want to give misinformation, but that's what my research told me, that now you're going to have most fruit spurs be like something that grows up like this, where little to no activity is going to happen, and then they're going to grow stronger stems that are going to support more fruit in future, so that we avoid this tip bearing tendency and have fruits happening across all the entire level of the branch. And so there's gonna be greater productivity. Look at that. That's what I mean. Those little things that are stemming up are going to give us fruits. They're called fruit spurs. And because the Wambugu apple is a spur bearer as well as a tip bearer, we get to take advantage of the tip bearing as well as the spur bearing when we allow them to give us these, which are essentially going to give us the spurs for the fruits in future, like that one right there. So that is also going to guide you in pruning, because if you're not doing this, you're going to Google about pruning and you won't understand what they're talking about because you do not have lots of this happening, because your tree is looking as clean as this. It's little canes going all the way up. Now see, this is the point that was not bent, but where we bent it on the same tree, look at the activity. There's a whole lot of activity going on where we bent. This is also a good example. We bent the tree as well at this point. This is the string that we used to bend it. And look at all the activity that's happening here, which are meant to understand that the fruit spurs. So hopefully next year we're going to have a bamba harvest, or at least a bamba flowering, because I'm also holding my fingers to have by next year to have pollinators in the garden and also to have bee activity in the garden, so that we avoid what happened this season. Now this video is becoming too long, but I hope you get the difference, and also go out and research for yourself so that we can help each other. We said we are forming a community, and our aim is to ensure we have productivity. Even if you have 5 trees, you deserve a bountiful harvest for your home use and even to sell. Because I was looking at some Western based creator that was harvesting from just four trees, and the harvest was, oh my god, more than I've ever dreamed of having in my garden. I talked about it in another video. It was a bountiful harvest. She had like 300 kg of apples from 4 trees. So even if you have like 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 trees, you deserve a bountiful harvest. So let's do this together. Let's learn from each other and do better for our fruit trees, so that we get to enjoy the benefits. These are all the spurs I'm talking about. But do let me know down below in the comment section. I'm no expert. I keep this disclaimer, I'm no expert at all, so I'm learning, and the real learning is happening in the comment section. So be sure to check it out, and if you want to join this community where we want to farm our apples the right way, please do join, and let's become a community by subscribing and watching till the end and reading, going through the comments and engaging, because that's where the real learning is. I've been afraid of taking the feedback I get and implementing it in the farm, but I'm doing so one step at a time, and I'm hoping for the best. I'll catch you in the next one with another update. Thank you so much for watching this far, and much love from Lynn Farmstead.